What's up, guys? This is Kephas. Welcome back to WoW Classic Leveling, you guys. We are still here fighting these humans, trying to get jungle fever. Is that what it's called? Jungle Remedy. I said Jungle Fever. Oh my goodness. Jungle Remedy. And, excuse me. And just killing these other guys. It's fine. We're going to keep doing that. Hopefully my poor Voidwalker doesn't die a bunch more. But yeah, we're going to keep going. And so like last episode, it's kind of cool because I kind of have a follow-up. So like last episode, like in this series, because, there's so much time to kill. We're just, grinding out levels and stuff like that. I just like to talk about stuff. And I've had fun talking about just my experiences being visually impaired. And so last time I kind of answered a question, tried to answer a question at least, that I get asked a lot, which is about, being visually impaired and dating and what that's like. Is it challenging? Do I ever do it? Whatever. And I tried to answer that the best as I could. And hopefully, it answered the question and kind of help people out. I don't know. But this time, the kind of follow up with that is how did I meet my wife or whatever, so obviously I talk about my wife a lot, because I love her and she's amazing and she's the best part of my life. And, we're moving into the next phase of our lives, buying a house, having a kid, all that kind of stuff. Talked about that tons. And, my wife is awesome. She's made an appearance in a couple of Overwatch episodes, a Fortnite episode, and we got more plans for that in the future. She's awesome and it's cool. So anyway, just in time. That was crazy. But people want to know how we met and how that worked, how did that happen and how we meet each other, that kind of stuff. So, I'll try to tell the story the best I can. And it basically, we met at church. We were both, part of the same, youth group. And, I was kind of like, this might sound bad, but I was kind of like on my way out as she was coming in, to youth. We have a few years apart. But back then, we were in different places and we knew each other, but we were we had a pretty, at that time, especially an age gap, you know what I mean? So we were in different places and we just kind of hey, how you doing kind of thing. And, I was moving into college kind of thing. And she was high school still. And so back then we didn't really think of each other like that at all, just two people that went to the same youth group. But years later, many years later, we were still we still had the same circle of friends. And I had moved on to to different phase in life. And I wasn't really going to church anymore, but she was still there. And at this point she was in college and moving into adult, moving into working and, her career, that kind of thing. And, I was living on my own and that kind of stuff. And I was coming back to church and hang out with my old friends again, which I, always kept in touch with my church friends because they've been some of my closest friends. And my best friend, actually, who was the youth pastor there at the time, called me up out of the blue one day. It's hey, I got someone I think would be good for you. And I'm oh yeah? And they're yeah. And it was her, right? And so I'm okay, yeah. She's cool. She's kind of a nerd and in a good way. She likes kind of the same nerdy things that I like. And, we both liked Doctor Who at the time. And we would, sometimes we'd talk back and forth on Facebook, that kind of stuff. But obviously I was very shy and I just wouldn't just be hey, want to go out sometime? It's but he was also my friend's I also would like you to come back to church maybe and come and help me with this youth group and be a part of it. So I'm okay, I'll do that. And so I came back to youth and so at that time we were both doing our thing and we started to get to know each other as friends. We were friends for a long time. And I really started to like her as I became more of her friend. And at the time she wasn't really sure what she wanted. Especially in that department. So we just kind of I guess you could say I was friend zoned. To be honest, you know what I mean? But we just kind of were friends for a long time and just, whatever. And so we just did that. And, we were part of the same friend group and we would hang out a lot and just, be friends. But it's one of those things where you can't help who you like, obviously. And it's definitely can be challenging to be friends with someone that you really like, especially when you really start to catch feelings for them. And I really liked her, and but like we just were friends. That's kind of how it was for a very long time. And then like I was going through like a lot in my life, and I had to move on, and I was starting to get involved with all that work stuff. With all the work rehabilitation, BE program, all that crap that I was going through. And like, so I wasn't really going to church much anymore. And then like, like a year went by where we hadn't really talked to each other. And, she like just text me up like, "Hey, how you been?" And then, we talked a bunch and texted back and forth for a while and caught up. And the next thing you know, we went on a date. And, she was in a different place. I was in a different place. We were both ready, and we went on a date, and the rest is history. Like, it was awesome. Like, it worked out. So like, like sometimes like, I mean, not in like a weird way. Like if someone does not like you, you can't sit there and try to force them to like you or whatever. Like I would never have done that. You know what I mean? But sometimes you like somebody and you can kind of feel like there's something there, and sometimes that person will feel the same way. Sometimes they won't, and sometimes maybe down the road they'll feel that way. And that's kind of the case here. Like you just, if you like somebody, sometimes it's best to, you can tell them, or it's hard to know what the right thing to do is. I mean, obviously you can't try to hold on to someone that doesn't like you back, but at the same time, if you can keep being, if you can be their friends, then do that. If you're okay with being that person's friend, then be their friend and whatever. If not, then move on. You know what I mean? That's all you can really do. But sometimes things do work out in the end, and that's kind of the story here. She had feelings for me, and I had feelings for her, and we rediscovered each other. That you know what I mean? And it's a very cool story. I mean, I'm very thankful to my buddy who had the idea in the first place, but also to time and for personal growth for both of us to finally be in the place where we're ready for that kind of commitment. And we were, and things worked out. Cause I mean, we both grew a lot over the years and really knew what we wanted in life, and we wanted the same things. And we really if you like somebody, it's good that you're friends. It's good that you have this, like I married literally my best friend, and my wife was my best friend, and we were friends and built that relationship. So once we started to date, it was very easy to move forward and, get married. And that was a very easy part of it. So, but we have built that foundation over many years of just being friends and not jumping into anything that neither one of us were ready for, And that really sums up the story of my wife is just a long relationship that started as a friendship and blossomed into the best relationship I could have ever had. And so we dated for a couple years. We got engaged really kind of fairly early on, but again, we had like a long friendship. That we knew we loved each other, and we knew that we really wanted that this is what we wanted. We wanted to be together. And so I got the ring. I dropped down on both knees when I proposed instead of one, because I'm a complete goofball, and proposed to her, and she said yes, and the rest is history. We got married after a couple years of being engaged, and took our time and planned our wedding out, and had the wedding that we wanted, and then did the same thing, waited a couple years of being married and living in in our apartment and having a quiet little life and enjoying, growing together, and then moved on to the next phase, buying a house, having a kid. Usually those are two separate phases, but we just decided to do them both at once, kill two birds with one stone. But, we feel we're ready for it. So, it's just, it's something that like I say all the time, I'm so thankful for. But, yeah, I mean, there's so much I could talk about with the story, but yeah, my wife and I, we were friends. We got another Stranglethorn page, cool. But we were friends who eventually fell in love, and that's I wouldn't have had it any other way, I really wouldn't. And I'm very confident and thankful and grateful, and just I couldn't have had a better person come into my life and want to be with me. I can say that. I couldn't have picked a better person. I also couldn't have had a better person pick me. And that might sound cheesy, and I apologize, but it's the truth, man. I can't say it any other way because it's just, it just works out, And so sometimes, like, it's kind of funny too because, like, that year that I kind of, like, it's something I've talked with my wife many times about, and we've talked. When I say personal growth, wow, those guys were crazy. There's something else that I need there, and I don't feel like I can go in there and get it because there's a lot of enemies around. So I might come back when I'm a little bit stronger. But anyways, one of the things that I went through when I stepped away from, from just like hanging out and stuff like that, because I was focusing so much on just like the work stuff, is I kind of got to a place, because like I said, I liked her. She wasn't ready at the time when we were friends, and it was like a soft rejection, I guess. It was hard, because you like somebody and whatever. But I got to a place after that, and something that I didn't realize I had to really overcome, but I got to a place during that period of time before we got together, where I got really comfortable being with myself. And that sounds lame, but it's not like you gotta love yourself first, but like genuinely, I got to a place where, because I always wanted to find someone, I always wanted to marry somebody, like meet the right one and have that romance in my life. And I felt like I needed that because it would help me get through life better. And, I had gotten to a point in time after, like, when I started working, where I was like, I really love my life. I love me and my life living here in my apartment. It's a quiet life, but I'm comfortable with myself now. And, and I'm at a place where, like, I was at a place where, like, I had figured everything in my life out. I was working, I was going to the grocery store without asking for help. I didn't have to rely on anybody. And I found a way to make everything work and have a quiet life. And I got to a place where I was really at peace with myself and where my life was. And, I think that was an important mentality to reach before. Ironically, when I stopped looking, when I stopped chasing, and by chasing, I don't mean literally, I mean chasing, trying to find someone or whatever, that's when the person that I cared about most, was ready and came back, and it worked out. And I can't say that always is how it's going to work out, but I can say, like, in my journey, and I guess I'm opening up to very personal feelings and whatever, it's very important to be comfortable with yourself and be happy with yourself before you move into a relationship with somebody else. Because that, as much as I love my wife, as much as she loves me, that's not something that she can give me. And being secure with myself, being happy with myself, obviously my wife is there to help me with a lot of things, including my flaws. But being at least, like, I like myself. I like that I'm a nerd. I like that I'm a gamer. I like that I like what I like and live the way I do. And I accepted that in myself. And then I married someone who accepts all of that in me. And that's, I don't second guess anything. I'm at peace with who I am. And, I'm comfortable in my own skin, which is something that I, just in time, you know what I mean? So, like, I guess that was something I had to go through, and I had to get to that place, and maybe that helped a lot. I don't know. And she kind of went through a similar experience, and so, like, you have to grow as a person, and it helps, it helps being comfortable with yourself, and also, being, like, you don't have to have everything figured out, but at the very least you can just know who you are, be a little bit self-aware, and that way, you know when someone loves you for you and not for something else, because you know who you are, and they're not trying to change you, and they just, they're there because of you, and you're there because of them, I guess. And I always try to spin things into advice or into some Mr. Feeney life lesson, so I apologize. But it's definitely been the best part of my journey, is meeting my wife. And if that's the best thing I ever do, then I don't need to really top that, I can say. I'm very grateful. So I don't know, I guess, like, sorry if I get mushy, you guys, like, I can't help it. talk about my wife and I will get mushy, you know what I mean? So, but people do ask the question a lot, and I just thought I'd share it. I'm going to eventually make a Legally Blind on it. My wife wants to help me make it and be a part of that. So that's something that I will probably do someday, when we have the time. And, so yeah, so that's kind of like a summary of the story. You know, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it answered the question. And, you know, thank you guys so much for your interest, for your encouragement. Also, you need to go tap that vein more, because this is not retail WoW. I only tapped it once. But seriously, you guys, I do really sincerely appreciate all the positive comments and all the good vibes that people have been sending my way. Sincerely, you guys, I really do appreciate it so much. It's nice to know that there are people out there that I'm just a voice, right? I'm just a voice. I make dumb YouTube videos about video games, and there are still people out there that, you know, that are rooting for me, you know what I mean? So, you know, and I don't know anybody personally, and there's way more of you than there are of me, obviously, in terms of viewers. You know, I really appreciate it, but, I root for all of you too. You know, I wish you all the best that life can give you, and that you know, if you're out there and you feel insecure and you feel like you're never going to find anybody, I can't tell you how it can happen or when it will happen or whatever, but I can tell you that I do sincerely believe that it can happen for anybody, whether it's finding someone or not finding someone, finding your purpose in life, or finding your place, or finding yourself. It's all possible, okay, for everybody. So, you know, I wish you all the best. Thank you guys so much for watching my video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by clicking that like button, and feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. And if you'd like to see more videos, you can subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. You can also follow me on Facebook, and if you'd like, you can support my work on Patreon. Links to all that stuff can be found in the description below. This is Kephas. Until next time.